Often you see a start on Battlefield on this matchup.
Yeah.
Quite a common one.
So Battlefield is a very good Sheik stage, though.
Yeah. But, okay, so straight off at the start of this match, we see some down smashes trading hits. This is something that, you know, both characters are decent at, but Peach, when it comes to trading, usually is the favored one. Because of her weight, because of the nature of her great hitboxes, means that she can contest, and whenever there's a trade, if you just watch it throughout the course of this set, she will come out favorably 9 times out of 10. And that means that Sheik has to try and find these clean hits, these completely fresh ones, where he does not get the counter hit from Peach, and use those situations and use his mobility in order to get around Armada's trades, get around his big hitboxes, and find the openings, attack on the percent. Because as we spoke about when we were watching this matchup before with Triff and Android, the Sheik does not have quite as strong a punish game on Peach, which means you need much more confidence in your neutral game, and you really just need more opportunities and more openings in the neutral game, full stop. So looking at how this match is playing out, really impressive stuff from Swedish here, actually. Getting the first stock here and plays still quite confidently up in the face of Armada, threatening him with the moves, but now it looks like it's switched around. Oh, no. Okay, so I'm really impressed to see that, you know. This kind of tricks with the turnips where you go into them intentionally and then bounce off them. That's the kind of things that we would see previously only from some very specific Sheik specialists. For example, Over Triforce is a big name that comes to mind. But today alone, I've seen Android and I've seen Swedish Delight do this. And that is really good to see these Sheik players adapting, learning from their peers, you know, adding new elements to their gameplay to help them survive longer in this matchup, where a lot of Sheik players find it really quite difficult, you know, 40-60 some people say, in this PAL version of the game. As this second stock's playing out here, we see getting a lot closer to even. Swedish is going to try and keep the pressure on, but Armada sets up an edge guard, and that is one of the tricky... bomb almost catching him there. So as I said, one of the tricky things about this matchup is once you get to the decent high percents of 80, 90 a Sheik, Peach hits you off stage once. You can recover, but your double jump isn't enough. This forces you to up B, and then once you're up Bing onto the stage, Armada has practiced this situation a million times. He'll hold the ledge, come on the stage after you've gone there, and get the punish, sending you back off. You know, repeating the situation and keeping you, you know, stuck in a corner that you just cannot get out of. Swedish down a stock now, but looks like he might be able to equalize it. Ooh, down air from Armada covering him and allowing him to get a little bit more extra credit here. Any hits he can get are really bonus here. But great needles there from Swedish. Oh, really sad to see that, because he did such a great play using the needles to take away the resources from Peach. Take away the jump, take away the double jump. But right at the last second, I think he doubted himself. Snuck off the edge. This has been an incredibly tight back and forth set from these two players. I'm really impressed to see Swedish doing so well. And as I say that, commentator's curse, he ends up getting killed at such low percent. And whilst he was going very evenly in the game up until now, even looking in the lead at some points, now Armada's 2 stocks to 1 and looking poised to close this one out.
And as we discussed earlier when we saw Android versus Triphasia, it's very much a whole different story in that matchup if Peach is in the lead or if Sheik is in the lead,
yes,
you know?
Yeah, very, very different. He's going to want to close this out without strong back here, but not quite enough.
And man, dude, it looks like Swedish definitely did his homework on that matchup.
He was playing exceptionally well in the first, 2 stocks of this game. He took the first stock himself, built up a little bit of a lead, and was just going, you know, at worst, back and forth with Armada. These hits are what he wants, and he just stays outside of the range of that down smash. Very critical, but forward air sends him off stage. Looks like this might be one of those edge guard situations that I spoke about.
And there we go. Swedish not as tricksy with his recovery as we saw earlier from Amsa, for example.
Yeah,
not being able to trick Armada into dropping that edge guard. Armada, of course, knows everything that she can throw at him with regards to the recovery. And taking the first game, though a lot closer than we anticipated. So Swedish definitely looks ready.
Yeah, he's got to give props to him for this.
Yeah.
Especially when you kind of know. You obviously have faith in yourself when you're a competitor on the level of Swedish, but you do kind of know that realistically.
So it looks like Armada brought some hand warmers for Swedish as well, because he wants to have a good tournament, I guess.
Yeah, as I was saying, he probably knows coming into this game that he isn't favoured, but he hasn't let that affect him, and he's just played really exceptionally, honestly.
So this is a bit of a, I would say, weird counter pick, to say the least, because usually that's a very, very prominent stage for Peaches to take people on. But I guess Swedish Elite feels confident in his ability to duck underneath those very, very wonky down smashes that Peaches can throw at you from the platforms, and Sheik has a very low duck animation, so...
He's definitely making it work here.
And he showed us the crouch animation right there, looking like he was, what do we say, teabagging. That was from shooter games.
Yeah.
You can do that with Sheik, it looks so funny.
Yeah. Bit of a combo starting here from Armada. Oh.
Yeah, but Swedish Elite still in the percent lead. He wasn't lead all the time, and now this is going to be the first stock. Swedish Elite, again, in the lead.
2 games in a row, he takes the first stock against Armada, and that is not something that many people do at all.
Yeah, if there's one thing that I'm looking forward to of Swedish Elite doing a little better, or like looking for the European Sheiks to pick up something from his travels here, definitely his recovery game. His recovery looks very, very linear compared to what we saw from players like Open Triforce, Android, and Amsterdam today.
In that first game, we saw one little nice use of the turnip, but in general, I feel like maybe he hasn't been able to sneak to the platform quite as much, or he hasn't been able to fool Armada into getting off the edge when he wants it. Maybe, you know, some element of that is just Armada being harder to trick than many other players, but, you know.
Definitely also true.
He's looking really strong in this game, you know.
Yeah. He was crouching underneath the platform, anticipating Armada to, you know, throw at something quote-unquote dumb, you know, like a down smash.
Yeah.
Armada, of course, was ready. You know, he was like on the same Yomi level, you know, recognizing that.
But yeah, no, honestly, the story of that first game was Swedish was either had the control, either in the lead or going even. But, you know, he was taking the initiative, taking the stock first.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he dies for like 25% for no great reason, and that really spelled his doom in that first game.
Yeah, so that cost him the first game
for
sure.
Yeah, so if he manages to go throughout this game, you know, playing in the same manner, making use of the advantage he has in this counter pick, and not making a fatal mistake like that, then it's definitely possible that he can be taking this game here.
Yeah, this might be like the factor of the jet lag possibly coming into play, that he slips up so big in one game.
Yeah, quite possibly, quite possibly.
But I think he's like a very, very experienced, very seasoned competitor, so he can definitely work past through difficulties like this.
Yes, yeah. But it looks like that's going to be curtains for that stock. Armada, you're in the lead for the first 2 stocks, but, you know, it's only who's in the win lead at the end of the match that it really matters. And currently that is Armada.
Yeah, retaliating with a neutral air, getting Armada off stage, but at this percent it's very difficult for Sheik to capitalize on the fact that you got an edgeguard situation against Peaches, because they will recover from the magnifying glass off the top, you know. Yes, so yeah, Sheik definitely has great jump capabilities, but not as great as a character as, like, say, Falco, for example, who could definitely do a little more about that in the situation. So the higher the percent, the more difficult it gets for Swedish Elite to edgeguard Armada.
Very critical roll there from Swedish. He was in a tight spot, stuck under the platform with his shield, but manages to roll, completely neutralizing the threat of that down smash.
And ever since Armada took the lead, he goes a lot more for trading moves, because you know, if he trades a move, he potentially gets a much better setup for a combo himself, especially at low percent.
These last few seconds looking really strong for Swedish, though. He's just got a barrage of moves on Armada, racking up the damage, and if he manages to push Armada off the stage, force him to use his up B perhaps, then he's definitely got the opportunity to set up a kill.
I gotta say, Swedish's use of the neutral air definitely catches Armada off guard.
Not like that.
Nah, not messing up your... He was on a ledge. He had invincibility.
Yeah, and it was lazy, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
He could have done the up B stall, you know, which is completely invisible, but invincible, but he chooses to just go for a quick double jump. And he paid for it, and you can see it in his face that he's paid for it.
Yeah, definitely. I hope this doesn't mentally break him. I hope we're gonna see more than one more game coming up. But you never know. It's Armada. Maybe Armada pulls ahead like big time now, and Swedish can't even do anything about it. You know, Armada is that kind of like insane player.
Yeah, Armada is a beast. And like the closer you get to beating him, the more of a god he becomes.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
One of the things about it that makes it so difficult to take a game, let alone a set from him.
Yeah, we saw that with both Wizrobe and SQJ this year. We saw it with, I think, X 2 years ago at Eclipse, who was also close to beating Armada, but then Armada pulled ahead big time.
Yeah, see, I've seen it time and time again. It's just the nature of this man.
Yeah.
And that was like the classic story from when Armada, at the very beginning, started going to America. You know, he might lose game 1, but then you win game 2 and then game 3 and just come bring it back.
You know, he might lose to what was his name, Silent Spectre, but then he might come to Grand Finals, win set 1, you know?
Yeah. And now this is the rinse repeat edge guards we spoke about. Armada's not going to drop these, and it's probably going to be dead Swedish here.
That's going to be a dead Swedish for sure. But not a dead Swede.
No, not a dead. Thanks for making it really confusing, Swedish. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Swedish. We're also glad to have you here.
But yeah, no, Armada only taking 34% on that first stock is very big, honestly.
Especially on a stage like this where Peach really, really doesn't die up until, like, I don't know, 180 or something. Like with Sheik, especially not having the capability to kill her off the top in the PAL version, it's going to be so much more difficult for Swedish to get his kills on this stage. And I don't quite know why he picked it.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to touch upon, because we spoke earlier in the set and also earlier in the other times we've seen this matchup today. The Sheik really has to kind of outplay in the neutral game in order to win this matchup. So for you to go to a bigger stage where it's harder to get kills, you're really doubling down on that, you know. And wow.
Dude, this edgecard started with Armada doing a tournament winner to back air, recognizing that Swedish was landing way inside the stage.
Yeah.
I don't know when I've ever seen this happen. And then he dropped down to get hit by Swedish to wall jump reverse bear and make it back to the stage. Who is this man?
Yeah. Who is this man? He's a god, not a man. That
he
is
a god.
The simple answer.
Yeah.
And you know, now he's got a clean stock lead and doing even more damage. And now every trade he makes gets him, even a bad trade, a quote-unquote unfavorable trade, is still beneficial for him because he is in the lead. And if they go even now, he's going to win, inevitably. And this is looking all but done, all but sealed.
It definitely looks like Swedish dropped the ball in this game. Let's see if he has any fight left in him. It definitely looks like it at the moment, but is it enough to take 3 stocks off the best Peach in the world? On a very favorable stage for Peach, I would argue.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if this stage is one of those, he's playing for the next set, you know? He wants to find out how it's going to go on the stage. Because he's not really going to win a reverse 3-0 against Armada, you know? So he tries it out, gets information, sees how Armada likes to use the stage. Then in the next set, maybe he can use that information and have a better chance of winning.
Or maybe he's thinking, like, you know, if I want to beat him, I got to win on this stage twice.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Very possible, but that is gonna be it. 3-0 and a fist bump from Armada there.
Man, the set looked really promising in the first 2 games.
No,
but then,
honestly, exceptional play from Swedish. I was so impressed the first 2 games. But then, in the end, okay, so